Hello everyone, this is Suzanne Wagner and we are doing the numerology and the astrology for October 24th, 2020. We're sort of inching up on Halloween. If you add all those numbers together, you get the number 11. Now, you've heard me say this before, that you can take the 11, which is a transcendent number, and you can keep it in that highest value of looking at things from an overview pattern. But if you add the 1 and the 1 of the 11 together, you get the number 2. And the number 2 is the number of negative mind or critical mind. So today you might notice that, I always notice this, that people are doing both. That some people collapse down into the negativity and fear. They get super critical. They get to a breaking point because they can't seem to get anything that they want, and then they lash out at others. But what we're going to coach everybody to do is to take the negativity of that energy, and instead of focusing it on an external thing, to let your mind expand it. So it's sort of like if you look at a problem that's happening on the ground, but then you get above it and you get higher and higher and higher, eventually it dissolves into nothing. So the more overview you have on something, the less negative something seems, and the more you start to understand things from an overview. I mean, we've all had that experience where somebody is acting out in a certain way, and intuitively you suddenly know that they are actually hurting, or they're afraid, or they're completely exhausted, or that there's just something else that's actually going on that's driving the external behavior. So one of the things you've heard me talk about is there's a primary emotion and then there's a secondary emotion. The primary emotion is that first gut instinct that you get, like, ooh, ow, or ooh, I'm angry, or how dare you, or whatever. But that first emotion, if it's a negative emotion, we've all kind of learned to subvert what we're actually feeling and to kind of move it into something else. So it doesn't feel safe for a lot of people to feel hurt because other people deem that as weakness. So then they will tend to be angry instead, and they will tend to be defensive and lash out. So because that is such a classic human example, once I learned that in myself, because I think you can't really detect something happening in someone else until you actually learn it within yourself. And once you learn that feeling and that mechanism, you're like, oh, I know that feeling. I know exactly what they're doing right now. Oh, actually, they're hurt. They're not angry. So if I respond to them in anger, it's just going to make it worse. If I respond to them like I hurt their feelings, it actually diffuses the energy. It's like throwing water on a fire. So we're going to try and shift the negative mind energy into that transcendent overview number of 11. So, needless to say, the number 2, 1, 2, is about duality. And the insight into duality of life continues to give each of us lessons. And the duality of life forces us to see past the obvious and into the intricate agendas of others. That back and forth, push and pull, is what will allow us to finally transcend the attachment to the domains of the desire realm and the delusions, and finally into the energy that is moving and motivating others in their core. At this point, it should be clear. Anyone can say anything, but that rarely means it is honest, truthful, and without an agenda. A child's mind wants to blindly trust. A child's mind will trust an abusing adult because as a child you go, oh, I'm small and they're big, and I better believe what they're saying because they're bigger and they should have more experience than me, and so I'm going to either trust my own experience or I'm going to trust their words. Well, as a child, we're sort of trained to trust an adult's word. But that just perpetuates sort of a child's mind. At some point you have to mature and grow up, and you have to step into your own wisdom. So a mature mind recognizes agenda and attachment and is looking at the situations from a place of overview rather than from the complicated soup of a human emotion. In this world, assume that everyone shows you the side that they want you to see. Sorry, allergies getting to me today. Then decide to feel neutrally into what is underneath that facade. The number 11 wants you to notice the duality, but not let the duality blind or control you. Once you accept that we live in a world where there are always two sides to anything, then you begin to understand that you wish to see things from a higher perspective. Then the person who is lying is now observed as being deeply insecure and afraid of others finding out. From that place, you can hold that truth more lightly and neutrally, and definitely less personally. Okay, the astrology today. Saturday morning has Venus making a harmonious trine to Saturn. This is a helpful place to make some better business decisions. Be diplomatic on communicating your boundaries. Over the past many years, it has been difficult to communicate your complex feelings. If anything is becoming clear, it is that we are more mature in our conscious development. More and more, we see the deep-seated value of a constancy and stability. There is a dominance of earth energy in the chart, and while you may not want to take risks overtly, covertly is quite another thing. And I do not mean in a dangerous way, but in a way that you keep your own counsel and you hold your own truths sacred. What is good is that duties and responsibilities will seem more satisfying when accomplished today. You have put so much effort into your projects and this journey that you have been on. A bit of satisfaction in your work is not a bad thing. You see your physical reality in a very realistic perspective today, which is good on many levels. You can't change without honest evaluation of your circumstances. And the moon is in rebellious Aquarius, stirring the pot and making things move forward energetically at this time. But even small movements are greatly appreciated. Mercury and Neptune square in a minor way, and while decisions are a bit confusing, it will allow you to see things very differently as we move together forward towards a new reality. Okay, my quote for today. A child's mind wants to blindly trust. A mature mind recognizes agenda and attachment and is looking at the situations from a place of overview rather than getting caught in the complicated soup of human emotion. And my blog today. Feel into the heart and core of what motivates a soul and how they assemble their reality. Where is their energy anchored? If it is anchored in their heart, then you know that even if they are mistaken and misguided, they will attempt to be loving and kind. But some are anchored in their lower three chakras, and that means that their core agenda is power, sexual gratification, and money. Such souls cannot be trusted completely. They will do anything necessary to feed that hungry ghost inside. And it is always a game of let's take advantage of the weak. But such souls who know who and what they are inside and will hide behind a spiritual facade to trick those that are idealists and those that only want to see the good in people. You must remember that everyone carries that spark of the divine within them, but that does not mean that they intend to use it with integrity. Thanks, everyone.